Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. Today we have a special guest again who is.
Mom.
Yep, my mom is on the podcast today, and the movie we will be reviewing is.
The Substance.
Yes, The Substance. So, honestly, what were your impressions after the movie ended?
Well, my first impression of The Substance was how original the plot was. I'm kind of tired of watching movies that are obvious remakes of other movies and sequel franchises like Scream and Halloween
Yeah.
and like all of the Marvel and DC comics. I'm just tired of those. I want something new and something different.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, The Substance came out in 2024, and it stars Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, and basically, it's where these two people, an older lady and a younger woman, take turns using a drug to make themselves look better, but they have to switch bodies every 7 days. It won an Oscar for Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling, rated R. I thought it was a really good movie. Did you think it lived up to the hype?
Well, I don't remember what the hype was, so I can't speak to that, but I don't necessarily think it was as scary as I think the hype made it out to be. I mean, obviously, my opinions are going to be different than that of anyone else. So I don't think it just was different horror than the typical horror movie. But yeah.
Do you think it deserved the Oscar?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, the gore and graphic effects were insane. It looked really realistic.
Yeah.
What expectations did you have going in?
I didn't really have any expectations other than I thought it was going to be like a true horror rather than a body horror. So I thought it was going to be scarier. But unlike my husband, I tend to not have expectations about movies. I like watching movies for their entertainment. So I really don't, think that go into it thinking it's going to be crap or a masterpiece or whatever. I just take it as it is.
Yeah, it was honestly a pretty good movie. Again, like you said, the plot was pretty laid out, wasn't a remake or a copy. Very original.
Yeah.
What did you think the movie was really about beneath the body horror?
Well, I think it was really about beauty standards and ageism.
Yeah.
Elizabeth was discarded not because she loses her talent, but because she's no longer considered young, and youth lends itself to more equal beauty in the entertainment industry. Not that I'm an expert on that by any means, but also the pursuit of perfection really destroys someone's identity. Like you're trying to erase or Botox over the bad parts of yourself to become more perfect on the outside rather than what's on the inside.
Yeah, so at the start of the movie, Elizabeth, Demi Moore, she's running like a fitness program, and they kicked her off because she was too old, and they hired a new girl that was younger and better. And she wanted to be back on, so she started using a black market drug to make herself look better. And then, spoiler warning, Margaret, or Sue, comes out of her back and then stitches it up, and they take turns taking the drug with each other. And then closer to the end, Sue, Margaret Qualley, decides that she gets an offer for, what was it, the New Year's program, and she had to be there. She had to be there, but it wasn't her week, so she used the syringe to suck out the drugs from Elizabeth. And it worked. It worked for her, but if you do that, it makes the other person look worse. So she did that a bunch of times, and then she ended up turning into
Monstro Elizasu.
Monstro Elizasu. She turned into it was just a mess. I don't even know how to explain it. All the body parts were in the wrong place. The eyes were where the tongue should be. It was all ridiculous. And
Yeah.
yeah. And there was another scene that really grossed me out. She gets a a bubble on her butt, and then it comes up to her stomach, and she pulls a chicken bone out of it.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That was gross. After she ate a bunch of chicken bones, by the way, so it wasn't for no reason. Who do you think was the
Mon
real villain?
Well, real quick, I just wanted to say Monstro Elizasu kind of reminds me of Sloth from the Goonies. Hey, you guys. Um, the real villain in the story is the substance itself and the idea behind it. The obvious villain is Harvey because he represents the industry that values women primarily for their youth, and he's cruel and dismissive of Elizabeth and sees her as replaceable. But the real villain is the culture that equates youth with worth and that the industry profits from that belief system.
See what I think that Sue is the villain because without her, Elizabeth would have kept using the drug as is, but she misused the substance. That's the number one rule of the substance. Don't misuse the substance. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I also think that the substance would have been better if they shared one consciousness, but Elizabeth and Sue didn't know what the other was doing. So I don't really think that the substance was even worth it since Elizabeth couldn't live vicariously through Sue. She just had to watch what she was doing on TV. It wasn't like, she was her. She wasn't.
Yeah.
So
And while the other person was doing whatever they want, the other person would be like practically asleep and they feed them through like this tube that has 7 days of food on it. And after the 7 days of food goes up, the other person falls down and that person wakes up.
yeah.
All right. Would the movie have worked without the extreme gore, or did you think it was just like known for it?
I don't think the movie would have had the same effect without the gore because I think that's the whole point. The more damage you do to your body, and that's the visual metaphor for self-loathing and the destructive pursuit of an untainable idea, an untainable perfection of yourself. So I don't think it would have hit the same if it wasn't graphic.
So in the end, Monstro Elizasu is basically being beaten up by Sue. Monstro Elizasu is primarily Elizabeth. Um, and in the end, I think it was her arm that got like cut off, and she's standing in front of like an audience, and she's just spinning around, and gore is just like shooting out of her arm like a fire hose. It's like ridiculous. It's almost comical how much gore there was in that scene.
Yeah, I think that was the point of that scene, to just be over the top.
It definitely reminded me of They Will Kill You with
Yeah.
the splatter. Yeah.
Hmm.
Overall, it was a good movie. I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. Definitely one of my favorite horror movies. I
Yeah, I'd
really
say it
liked it.
was about an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, the Metascore is 78. Or, yeah, 78 out of how many critics? 57, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the end of this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for the recent support, and thank you, Mom, for coming on the podcast with me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.